Hi, I'm Tina. So I need you to do me a favor. If you don't intend on watching this video clear to the end, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and click off now. I don't do YouTube so that it's a money-making thing. I do YouTube so that my content is helpful to people, or at least entertaining. So if you like what you see, go ahead and click the like and share button down below. And if you think that anybody could use this content, go ahead and pass it on to them. But if not, if you're not going to watch it all the way to the end, go ahead and just click away now. But I promise you'll be missing something good, educational, and helpful. Have a good day. Good afternoon. You find me today in our backwoods. Oh, that pretty woods around me. It's such a beautiful day today. I just been trying to get out as much as I can, and unfortunately I'm doing the terrible thing of pushing my homework off so I can spend time outside. Alaska has this knack in the summertime of staying daylight until 11, 12. And as the summer grows on, it gets later and later. So 2 or 3 in the morning, the sun's still, it's called the land of the midnight sun for a reason, but it really messes with your head. Last night, my daughter sent me a message saying, Mom, I'm sorry, I'm gonna be late getting home, because she was supposed to be home at 10:30. And I'm looking outside and the sun's shining and I'm like, late? I look at my clock and realize it's almost 11 o'clock at night. And it really messes with you. But that's not what I'm here to talk to you about today. People. As you know, I am a keen observer of people. I study people. I'm in school to learn about how people tick and ways to help them. There is one in every friend group. Everybody knows this one person, and sometimes it can be a toxic relationship, and sometimes it can be maybe a helpful and learning relationship, and you have to know when to draw the line. The general rule about toxic people in your life is if in 6 months' time you can't improve or fix the relationship, then it's time to let that relationship go. But what I'm talking about specifically today are people that usually, because they've been hurt really bad in the past or have some kind of complex where they feel like they have to always be better than everyone else. These kinds of people are usually always the hero in every story. And I'm just going to warn you now, there's a little fly flying around my head and he's driving me crazy. But they are the hero in every story. They always, like, you say, oh, I've done this and I've done that, or oh, we went and did this awesome thing today, or I tried that today. And well, of course, they've done it 10 times better, and they immediately cut you off, and they go off about their story, basically negating anything that you said, not really giving much credence to your feelings or your validity in your experience that you're trying to share with them, because you're excited about whatever happened, or you are, just trying to explain something that was maybe like kind of dramatic and it just was maybe hard for you to deal with, but they're like, oh, well, I did that flawlessly. It's just that kind of person. This kind of person always often doesn't want to be lower in your eyes. So if you have that kind of friend who literally puts your other friends down, literally puts them down, like, oh, well, that person or this person, and they did this, and well, they're crap, or they're, that's not a good way to be. Anything like if you speak excitedly about a friend that you have, about something you did, or how this person's really, really nice, well, then they will try to turn that around and say, well, they're not nice, and they did this, and they screwed this up, and just the negative, the negative, the negative. And sometimes, unfortunately, that's just really telling for them, because when people open their mouths and they start talking, belittling about other people, what they're really saying is that something in that person I wish I could be. When they're trying to one-up you or be 10 times better and the hero of every story, what they're really saying is, I really wish I could be that way, because inside me is a little person screaming that I'm not confident enough. So I'm going to throw off all this bravado, and I'm going to open my mouth and run my mouth and make everybody believe that I'm better, when the reality is they're not. Sometimes maybe they just need that friend that is brave enough to put them in check and say, you got to stop talking like that. You need to be confident in who you are. And you don't need to always one-up every story you hear. You don't need to always put down my other friends, because I care about you just as much as I care about them. And people that are like this generally have a history, and it usually starts parentally, or bad experiences in high school. There's a lot of things that'll cause people to feel the need to buoy themselves up by putting other people down or making people believe that they are more than they actually are. Um, the other thing that people like this that are kind of, I don't know, I have to say that they're insecure and have narcissistic traits. They may not be a clinical narcissist because that's a huge stretch, but they have those traits that they have to be in total control. And usually it's because in their lifetime they have completely had no control. They have a total sense of loss of control. Maybe they were put down a lot. Maybe they're very small in stature when the other kids on the football team are ginormous, or there's any number of reasons. High school is a brutal place for kids to grow up, but there are a lot of adults that are like this, and sometimes their behaviors when they get out into the world and they realize, oh well, I can control myself now, they take it just a little too far, and they end up displaying traits that, instead of trying to use your words to impress people and use your actions to impress people, they're actually turning people off, like, wow, is that person arrogant? When that's not really what they're trying to do. I think that we need to be very careful when we are judging people that are like this, because we need to make sure that, are they just really seeking for attention? Do they just need somebody to come alongside, or are they really that arrogant? There is a fine line there. But the problem is sometimes you find a person who doesn't want to share their friends. They like, my daughter went through this recently. She's a teenager, so she's kind of my go-to example. A lot of times I'm going to stand up and walk around because I am getting bit by mosquitoes. She had a friend that she reconnected with, and every time that she would go visit, another person would show up, and then her friend would get really irritated because Jen's attention was split between two people, and she wasn't having that. And then as this went on, Jen discovered that her friend she went to visit didn't want to share her with anyone, didn't want her to have other friends, didn't want her to be part of anybody else's life. And the jealousy towards her other friend group was getting a little much. So her answer to that was to simply stop visiting and have a conversation. While we are analyzing and judging our friend groups, while we are trying to make friends with people, while we are trying to be inclusive with the people in our life, especially in the era of social media, it's no longer just, those friends that live around you. It's no longer just the neighbor up the street or the farm up the street. Social media has put out, like Facebook. There are Facebooks that literally claim to have couples of hundreds of friends. They're not your friend. Nobody has a couple hundred friends. So while you are trying to weed your garden of friends, while you are trying to build relationships that matter, it is important that you do not be that person who has to one-up everyone all the time. It is important that you are not that person that judges everyone. It is really important that you are not judgmental at all. People are not given to judge. We are not. God is the only judge. And that using good judgment and being judgy are two different things. Using good judgment just means using your common sense about whether or not to be involved in a person or a situation, or to go somewhere or to do something. That's using common sense. But to be judgy, saying, well, I'm better than you, or that guy's a jerk, or that person's arrogant, or she is so wretched and I just don't want to be around her. Just, that's being judgy. That's being rude. I just find that it's really important to be very careful about who you let into your life. Social media is one thing because you can just hit a button and end a friendship. In real life, that's not really how it works. In real life, you go and have a conversation with someone and say, hey, I'm a little put up with your arrogance. I think that you kind of need to quit trying to one-up every story, quit trying to interrupt every time I talk, quit trying to judge my other friends, quit trying to isolate me from my other friends, and then maybe have that conversation with them and just say, what's going on with you? Why are you like this? Do you fear that I'm just going to walk out of your life? Or maybe the more important question is, who walked out of your life? Who made you be like this? Who hurt you? Let's talk about it. Can I help you? What can I do? Because what you're doing while you're trying to win friends through all this bravado is actually chasing friends away. Maybe that's the thing you need to say to them. When did we, as a society, stop lifting each other up? When did we decide that a comment or something said gave us permission to either hit a thumbs up or a delete button? That's not how we treat people. That is not how life was intended to be. We were not designed to be digitally rated. We were not designed to just simply, well, I don't like you anymore, so I'm going to walk away. When did we stop edifying each other? When did we stop lifting each other up? When did we stop congratulating each other on accomplishments? When did we stop saying, well, that's really cool you did that, instead of saying, oh, well, I've done that, and wow, was my efforts better? Do you see where I'm going with this? I just think in today's society with meme culture and Facebook culture and just the way people are acting in public now, it's almost like it's bled off the social media and into real life. I think that we're doing more harm than good. Which brings me to my next point. I don't know if anybody's been watching the news, but there are riots going on. And there are riots going on because people no longer have any respect for each other. They're not raised in the culture that says, love your neighbor, help people, respect your elders, respect law enforcement. And I get that what happened here was one law enforcement officer screwed up. Do not judge the entire rest of the blessed workforce or the police force or the club or the church or wherever your hurt stems from, or a parent. Do not judge them for one person. If one person messed up, then just let that one person be judged. But there's no sense in tearing up an entire community, in putting down an entire group of friends, in damaging an entire family, or in trying to put down people that you want to, like if you want people to be close to you, you want them to be part of you, then don't put down their friends. Don't make them want to leave you. Don't make them want to walk away because they cannot stand the bravado and the one-upmanship. We were not designed to do that. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Forgive if you want to be forgiven. And I think that the reason that these attitudes in families and especially in youth that are carrying on this, oh, well, I'm better than you, bro, or whatever it is, comes because God was removed from society. If you are going to be a friend to someone, be the representation of Christ. Be that person that says, hey, you don't need to do this. Just be you. Just be who you are. You don't need to act like this. You don't have to dress the best. You don't have to go in debt and try to be better than everyone else, because that is not who you are. It is better if we have to teach our friends character and what character is, to teach them that their reputation really isn't an issue. But trying to make yourself feel better, or having that friend that makes themselves feel better by putting other people down, is not the way to go. It's not the way to go. So if you are that kind of person that doesn't want to be treated like that, do unto others as you would have done unto you, then be the example of what they should be. Don't be afraid to open your mouth, and when they start putting your friends down, defend your friends. The more we know, the more likely we are to teach. Which is why I make these videos. Not going to get into it, but I have lived a rather remarkable, incredible, chaotic, crazy, probably could have left some of it out life. But what I know now, compared to what I know or knew 20 years ago, is a far cry. So I think it's really important that we are family in some way or another. Respect others. But if you do have someone in your life that is like that, give it 5 or 6 months. And if it becomes too toxic, then yeah, leave the situation and love them from a distance. If you are that person, take this as a warning. Nobody's impressed. They are not impressed that you need to one-up everyone. It's really irritating. And if you're having trouble making friends, that's probably why. So just be you. I don't know how many videos I've stressed that in. Just be you. Well, I'm going to cut off for right now because I'm getting eaten alive by mosquitoes. But I love you guys, and I hope that you do learn something from my videos.